Sideline of ball. Lakewood are doing it. They're gonna take. He's gonna bring down Birdie. Almost with a double kill. Dropping fast. Monovoid's there. He's still alive. Wait, oh, second slide. He's going one side. He's going a second. He's taking it out. Oh my God! On three. They're all dead.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We've got our second game of the day coming up here for the Summit 2 by G2A.com America. We've got the Gerg squad, Gerging all over the place, facing off against Complexity.
Should be a good one. Complexity right now sitting on top. They're sporting a very nice, solid record of 6-1, now neck and neck with Not Today with their previous win in last game. So they're both the two kings of the crop, if you will. Gerg squad, 2-3. So they could certainly use a win. They could certainly use a couple of them to at least try to finagle themselves into a tiebreaker situation and hope to get one of those, top 3 or 4 positions. But as far as it goes, except for Complexity Not Today, all those other spots are pretty much up for grabs as long as you're able to secure a big win. But they have a tough test here. It's Complexity.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Complexity do have a stand-in worth mentioning. Riser not playing with them today. They've got Bloody Nine, so a name we'll recognize, but not their typical roster. Apparently, there's been an official roster change. I don't know, because you're not allowed to use players that are on other teams that are in the group stage. But it's madness in America, man. Everybody's
there's been
jumping around.
A lot of switches lately, but they have confirmed with us that they've already talked with the admins, so this is something that's already been cleared. So with that said, I guess we might as well just
let's do our tour, man.
Do the draft.
Let's see what's going on here. So first pick on the McGee coming out from Complexity. Razor tied for the Gerg squad, then they grabbed the Pretty Lady for their second pick. But boy, that ogre's getting a lot of love these days, Dakota.
Certainly is. He's got 2 heads. He's big. He's bad. Not too beautiful. Got plenty of stats. 7 armor, 2.5 health regen. These are the numbers.
If we're gonna get technical here, but
well, I wasn't gonna get that technical, but
I hope he only has 3.
10 seconds remaining.
Anyways. Putting that together with Marana, if this is going to be a support Marana, it looks like Complexity are going to look to get aggressive pretty early, though we've also seen Moon Meander play Marana personally as a core, so that's also a valuable option. Regardless, there's a lot of potential there. No surprises to get her early. That way you can always be flexible through the remainder of your draft. Gerg squad, however, Razor, Tidehunter, Jakiro. Big push between Razor and Jakiro. Tidehunter's going to be there to be the playmaker, set things up, get things started. Have a pretty reasonable time. Dire Lane, it's a shorter distance to get a hold of those Ancients, start building in stacks so you can get a hold of your Blink Dagger. And, of course, we've seen what Jakiro can do in the hands of some of the more prominent teams like your EG. It's almost a respect ban at this point. So, I mean, they have a nice, solid, cookie-cutter kind of any Dota draft thrown together for them. Something you'd see from EG.
Yeah, nothing too crazy about it. I'm curious how Gerg squad will run the Jakiro. I think, that hero shines a little bit more in like kind of the driver's seat if you put him in the safe lane farmer. Maybe not technically your one, but get him some farm priority. Let him rush yourself a mech. Some of those other core pushing items. Get that fast Basilius. Maybe just get the fast Yules. Lets that hero do so much work. Set up kills right into ice paths, and you can stagger those stuns pretty appropriately. I think still a good hero when he's on the 4, but just a little less potent if you want to have a really aggressive pushing type strategy. But here you go, Complexity with a good anti-push hero. The Fairy Dragon Puck, lots of wave clear, and very elusive.
Very elusive indeed. Great initiator, able to set the pace as far as how the mid-game can go. I believe Complexity recently ran this in the off-lane in the hands of Limp, who did fantastic work with it, but another hero who could be pretty flexible as far as being able to stroll them towards the mid-lane, but already knowing it's going to be a Razor there, they might change things up. Hell, Gerg squad might change things up. They could switch around this Tidehunter, keep Razor in the safe lane to still go toe-to-toe with the Puck, let's say, get a lot going in that side lane and grab someone else to contest the mid lane. Still, the draft is not giving a whole lot of information, more of so just kind of banning out what they don't want to be going against. On Complexity, they get rid of the Lycan, they get rid of the Naga, they don't like the heavy assertive push there, they don't want to be dealing with any 4 Protect 1 where they have a 4-man hit squad that gets a lot and one person still always holding behind, building up farm and could be a nuisance down the road. Now, Gerg squad fire back with a Baton grab. This could be a preemptive bit of assistance that could help, obviously, with the Fire Blast stun and Arrow if it does catch off on anyone, but also, let's say, if they wanted to go for even like a Bat Rider or something, if they do switch the Puck around, he's going to be right there to aid him. So I like the Baton grab, and obviously this means that Well, I guess we don't know yet if this is Jakiro going to be core or more of a
5
support.
seconds
Yeah,
remaining.
going to leave it up to that final pick. I do
Yeah.
like the Abaddon with this kind of a lineup. They'll obviously be team
Reserve
fighting a lot with the
time.
Tide once he hits 6 and gets his Blink Dagger. They'll be wanting to knock down those early towers, and that early to mid-game Abaddon is just such a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Cleansing those long stuns and just giving you so much sustainability in these kind of drawn-out fights.
Do you think it's going to be a... no. Is it going to be a last pick Necro on the side of Gerg squad to put together with this Abaddon combo already and keep Jakiro on a support kind of a role?
That could be pretty scary.
There's still
actually.
a banning phase to go through from both teams. They have one more
Yeah.
ban they can use. Complexity have this pick here, which could obviously identify what the role is going to be for Mirana, and it does. So, I mean, I
Dire
guess not
team
technically
ban.
core could also be a role given to Ogre, but more than likely they're going to have now what looks like a pretty greedy support, getting a hold of Enigma. Even on the Radiant side, most people prefer Enigma on that Dire side, but he can
Yeah.
still get a lot done here. Gerg squad with someone like Abaddon, he's not one to get too adventurous
10
and add pressure
seconds
elsewhere
Yeah.
and contest the jungle or, make ganks on mid lane.
5
So when they
seconds
see that, they're like,
remaining.
we can go selfish here in the early game with Enigma getting a lot in the jungle. Now pressure's on Gerg squad to go with an
Reserve
early roaming squad to try to nerf and take away that jungle.
Yeah, I think if they invade early, slow down where the Enigma can farm, this is like a kind of a classic hero for Complexity. I've only cast a couple of their games, but it seems like they really value the Enigma, and a hero that is punishable. Very passive in that very initial laning stage before the Enigma hits level 6, but if you leave him unchecked, of course, can farm that mech super quickly and turn fights around and give your team a huge edge. I do have some confidence in Limp, and for Complexity, it's going to be just about mitigating early losses. Luckily, they've got at least the other support very aggressive in that of the Ogre, and they'll be able to set some things up depending on who they put in the safe lane, whether it's the Mirana or if she ends up going to the off lane. Hell, it could also be an off lane puck. This last pick for Complexity is pretty hard to guess, and I think Gerg squad will have to think about it a little.
The interesting note is that for Complexity, typically their Enigma player is Riser, and Riser's not here. It's Bloody Nine, and Bloody Nine have been playing a lot of off-lane recently, and so I don't know if he's going to be one to pick up the puck and Limp will step over and do Enigma, or if they will make Bloody Nine
That would be
do
my
Enigma.
guess. I think Limp will probably grab the Enigma, but we'll see. Ooh, they ban out the Sniper.
Radiant team ban.
Wow, interesting. And Silencer from
Dire
Complexity. I
team
think that's a
pick.
smart one. Counters pretty much their entire lineup, especially that of the Enigma there. So
Yeah.
nothing too crazy about that one.
Other supports that could have canceled pretty nicely could be Lich, even with a BKB on. His ult will prevent Enigma from getting a lot out, but this does force Jakiro into a core kind of position, and then their late game could be hindered a bit. So Gerg squad
Yeah.
probably still going to throw together some sort of late game presence. Actually, both teams don't really have a lot of late game. I mean,
10
Mirana's the best thing they
seconds
got on
remaining.
Complexity as it stands right now.
Ooh.
Gerg squad indeed are going to get a hold of a
Radiant
Morphling here.
team pick.
So there's your late game.
Yeah, they get the late game secured, but it is going to be a position for Jakiro. So not a lot of sieging power. If Razor gets that fast Ags early in mid game, they'll be able to knock some towers down. But I don't know. This Gerg squad lineup, they've got the Ravage, and they've got quite a bit of follow-up on top of it. So I could see some pretty solid mid-game team fighting there.
10
But
seconds
something about this
remaining.
Complexity lineup. We'll see what they do with their final pick, but so far it just seems a little more well-rounded. They've
5
got great
seconds
team fight with the
remaining.
Enigma. They'll have a fast mech. Should be able to put some pressure on those tier 1 towers pretty
Reserve
easily.
time.
I wonder if this is a Medusa game for them or not. I mean,
Hmm.
Medusa and Spectre are like two of the standout late gamers that are still in the pool to me that could kind of do some work against Morphling a bit, but it's either that or they change things up dramatically and change the roles a bit, get something like an Elder Titan that's typically good against Morphling and switch the roles around a bit as far as who's going to go mid then
Yeah.
off lane, but I think other than that, they might have to dig pretty deep here as far as the late game
They
contention.
do have that flexibility. Yeah, it does hurt their late game a bit. It depends how confident they are in their Elder
10
Titan play. It
seconds
is
remaining.
the hard counter to Morphling, though. Getting rid of all that armor, it just makes him
5
so damn
seconds
squishy. But
remaining.
they go with the Storm Spirit, and a decent game for it. They've pretty much just got Ravage and Ice Blast to lock, or Ice Path rather, to lock him down. So it'll be a Swindle Storm, and I think a game where he can get away with it. It is a greedy draft from Complexity, though. I will say that every single one of them wants some farm.
Yeah.
Ogre on the 5. That's a pretty greedy position 5 hero.
All right, so this is a game where Complexity want to snowball pretty hard. Get a lot done in the mid game once the Enigma Black Hole start coming online. Storm Spirit's got his, I would imagine, Orchid picked up. going to try to get some early pickoffs. Puck as well with his mobility, getting a Blink Dagger together. They can start going kill after kill, objective after objective, while Gerg squad maybe just kind of doing a slow siege,
Prepare
high team
for
impact,
battle.
and then allow their Morphling to kind of pull out the final curtain there for
Yep.
their side. So we'll see here. We could see some pretty hefty action as soon as it starts approaching the 10-minute mark, I would imagine.
All right, Gergi, let's see what you can do. They're Tide Hunters rocking the squiddles, so as far as I'm concerned, that's your ticket to a good start. Doesn't get much better than that on a Tide Hunter.
Except for the ugly wheel and mask cover-up that he's currently rolling
Hey,
with
come on, man,
here.
that's the Wheel of Fortune.
But on top of with the shark, it's all buggy and
It
looks
does
like
look
crap.
it does look a little funky. So it is going to be Z-Freak here playing on the Enigma. Swindle will take point on the Storm, probably headed to the mid lane. That puts Bloody Nine on the support Ogre, Moon Meander on the Marana, and it'll be Limp headed to the off lane playing on the Puck here. So very
30
open-ended till the end of
seconds
it,
to
and
battle.
I think this is a scary lineup. I definitely favor the Complexities draft as long as they have enough space to get away from it. And it looks like Team Gerg, they're not even going to invade to try and
I mean,
stop this Enigma from getting free farm, and that's where
Complexity
I
were
worry.
ready to go. I mean, they
Yeah.
had their defenses there, but they saw no one was moving, and it looks like Gerg are not going to contest. So Enigma's going to have the full jungle to work with, it looks like, at the start of this one on the side of Complexity. But
Yeah.
we're talking about Gerg now. On your dire side, we got the Gerg squad, also from time to time known as the Ham Ham
The
Clubhouse.
battle
But top lane, it
begins.
is going to be Justin, formerly from eHug and other Pupstar. He's going to be playing your Morphling here in the top. What looks like for now is solo safe. That is, of course, until it's going to be KRS, who's going to be moving up there on the support Chikiro. Mid lane, it's Reality playing your Razor, and he's currently side by side with Pandago, what looks like the roaming kind of PPD-ish Abaddon here, going from side to side, and that leaves bottom lane. It's going to be Nayrok, who's actually their team manager, hot dog sponsor, going to be playing your Tide Hunter in the off lane.
No brand in particular, just the general hot dog. Any hot dog.
This guy
he's
likes
happy
hot
with.
dogs.
That's a man that likes a hot dog. That's for damn sure. Bloody Nine, Haystrewn on the Ogre. That can be a scary way to start off a lane. Bloody Nine goes into the tower, takes a couple of shots, hits him with the club, and, well, he'll be okay. Pandago shows himself, and he's got that Aphotic Shield, so no kill going to be coming out right away. But big old Ogre here. Yeah, he'll do all right. Does Tubby the Fat play Ogre? You're probably the right person to ask.
He has played Ogre as a support, but their
That's
primary
too perfect.
Ogre pickup player is Tolera when they do like to play it in the mid
Son
lane.
of a bitch.
Tubby's a big Timber Saw kind of a player.
All right.
Tubby the Timber.
Tubby the Timber. I
Yeah.
gotcha. All right, we'll save that for one of the games coming up later. But Moon Meander in the safe lane. Should be able to find a little bit of farm. Not the easiest lane for him. We'll see Pandago move around a little bit on this Abaddon. Does
But
have
they don't
a
have any
TP
stun to
scroll
really stop her.
already.
So once she has leap, you know, she can get away from any sort of jam unless she gets
They
too
should be able to
overinvested.
kill her too easily, but just being irritating in the lane. And,
Yeah.
Moon's farm will be a little lackluster if they stay stationed here, but the two bruisers, they'll find the other bruiser in the jungle, and Narok will anchor smash some creeps down, leech a little bit of XP, and make this Ogre's life a little bit less desirable.
Yeah, I like the contention of the pole camps. Don't want to give him anything easy. Don't let that Creequilibrium end up under the tower for Moon to just get easy CS like it is right now. And this, of course, could cause a double push coming the way and under the tower for the Gerg squad, which Nayrok would love, and that will eventually happen. Pandago's like, I'm done here, my business. I'm going to go check out the rune. It's a bounty. He just quickly snags it up for himself, and that means the DD is still going to be at the top. No one moving toward it yet. Very uncharacteristic-like from a lot of these teams lately. They love to make sure they're right on the runes and for the action.
Yeah.
I guess the Swindle does not have his bottle quite yet, and Reality, well, doesn't have his either. They're not looking to move anywhere just yet.
Yeah, and this mid lane is still very highly contested. 8 and 6 on the Razor, 6 and 5 on the Storm. Neither of them want to leave the lane and give the other one the edge to really start pulling ahead with that creep momentum. So they'll stay stationed in the lane and be happy just to let that room sit there, and support will be able to deal with it. Z-Freak, though, have an absolute free farm in the jungle. This is a guy that, in my brain, I think of him in the jungle. That's what he did quite a bit of in Han. He was known for his Enigma counterpart play. In that game. I actually did a whole Zyori breakdown, Jungling 101. Z-Freak was my featured guest, so a name that Han fans will remember, that's for sure.
What was the counterpart name? Now you're making me forget
Tempest.
it. Tempest, that's it.
You
It was something like that.
I forget what the ultimate was called, but it didn't have that same ring as Black Hole!
No, it certainly didn't.
It was like Hurricane or some silly name.
Vortex,
Radiant's
I'm
bottom
sure, something
tower
like that.
is under
I can't
attack.
remember.
Yeah, well,
That would be fun
illustrious
one day.
friend here
Go back
as,
to Han trivia.
you know, Z-Freak regardless, pretty much the same hero, so he's well versed on it, getting a lot done, taking advantage of both camps here after removing all the trees with that Midnight Pulse.
Yeah, he knows how to do this efficiently.
Yeah,
man. Look at this guy.
uncontested jungle. He's just going to get up there right away. We'll see if after this he goes right for the mechanism or if he goes for more of the standard.
He's actually ahead of the mid heroes right now by just a little bit, but he'll hit level 5 before they do, and that's a little bit of a rarity. You'll see Enigmas keep up with the solo mid heroes, but very rarely surpass them. I think some of that is it is a little deny heavy here, 14 denies across the two of them, but sort of just showing that this is a guy that knows how to efficiently work the jungle. Meanwhile, in the safe lane, Moon, 12 last hits. Yeah, definitely not as good as his counterpart, that in the Morphling. Justin, the last hit leader this game, having a pretty good old time up here against the Fairy Dragon.
Ogre is going to grab the bounty rune on bottom. Pandago wanted to get there. He was busy turning the corner. Did get a third stack, however, on this Ancient camp right here. So
Invis with a double damage. Reveals it right onto Reality. He'll get healed up by Pandago. In comes Bloody 9. He hits him with some stuns, and they just can't finish him off. A close call.
Thank goodness for Pandago. He was right there at the ready. I mean, he had a TP regardless if he wasn't in the neighborhood, and that quick reaction is definitely a lifesaver, but he happened to be nearby, quickly comes in, and Reality will live on. That's the important thing, man. When you're playing these kind of supports like Abaddon and Dazzle, you got to make sure you have those TPs at the ready in case they are going for the dives. You can be right there and you can hinder a lot of commitment for nothing. Bottom lane, Blade Knight makes his return, throws out the early Fire Blast and some smacks here to just kind of keep Nayrog back. But Nayrog's doing okay, man. For this Tidehunter, he's 12-2. He has plenty of stacks at the Ancient camp to throw together. He'll probably just complete out his Arcane Boots while he's here, and then eventually build up to his level 6, move over, get enough of an early farm so that way the Ancients will complete his Blink Dagger, and then he'll come out from hiding and just lay down the law with a huge Ravage.
Yeah. Both offlaners in a pretty comparable spot right now, with about one last hit of each other. Tide's level 5, Puck just finds his level 5, so they're pretty even. It should be Complexity with a lead, mostly because of the Enigma. Yeah, about 1,000 gold, 1,200 experience. Enigma just makes these lanes so much more efficient. And 5.5 minutes in, still 0-0. We talked about it in the draft. Complexity has the greedier lineup. Every single one of their heroes really benefits from farm, whereas on the side of Gerg, you've got heroes like Jakiro and Abaddon that, sure, they'll take farm. It doesn't hurt, but Abaddon's not really known for his ability to scale with items, whereas Ogre, if he gets an Aghanim Scepter, that lets him scale pretty damn well. So I think Complexity will be happy with this quiet early game while they get their core items up. It feels to me it's more on Gerg a little bit to step up the aggression, and maybe you wait for that Morphling to get one of his core items, but with this Enigma free farming away, you know that this smoke rotation is coming.
They want to bait out the rune and put that black hole to use ideally, and they might get the chance here. Ooh, they went a little too early. Reality was heading that way, but they're not going to get the opportunity. Instead, they pulled back. It was Gerg. Yeah,
well, Enigma's still smoked up, actually, so his jig has not been revealed. But won't be able to find an initial black hole. Find anything there.
On the Moon 4, they're adding pressure here on Moon, trying to keep him low, that when the level 6 comes, maybe there's an opportunity to burst him down with the Ravage, but it's going to be a hard grab right there. Moon's leveling up straight through to the Starstorm, more prime farm-oriented. He's got his Aquila already complete, about to have his phase boots, just the early foundation, probably get some drums, and then from there look to build up a little bit of damage. Which we've seen him do. I've seen him beat out. It might have even been a Morphling, but he took a Mirana, a hero that's considered almost like a semi-carry, into a full-fledged right-clicking kind of a hero, at one point pulling together, a big Daedalus, the MKB, a Satanic at some point, just to kind of put the cherry on top, and he really brought it home for Complexity.
Yeah, Mirana in the position 1, it's really just about farm more than anything else. It's she's an agility hero that can scale pretty well as long as she has the farm for it, and that's where it gets tricky. If she gets off to that early momentum, she can play the hard carry role pretty well, but all things equal, there are plenty of other heroes that will out-carry her. Her real power comes in that mobility, and the ultimate. It has a lot of utility. Her just in general can put out a lot of magic damage, more so than a lot of those late-game hard carries. So I agree with you, though. Do have some faith in Moon Meander to turn this free-farming Mirana into a scary carry.
We'll see, man. We're getting ready to approach the 8-minute mark. Not a kill yet. Very quiet early start. I was
not a lot of attempts either. That's the other thing.
I mean, a brief something or other with Enigma and a smoke gank by the top, but that was just not really going anywhere.
A something or other seems to be the perfect word for that.
It was like 10 minutes was what I called out for the draft, as far as then at that point you got your offlaners putting together their level 6s, their first first item, and maybe they can look to invest their ultimates, whether it be your Ravage or your Coil on the side of Complexity. They might want to try to make something happen from that point, but for now it's still all quiet on the Western Front.
One thing that is maybe going the way of Gerg's squad, or some potential going their way, is this big old stack here. This is a, what is it, a penta stack? Is that the right term for 5? I think it's double dragons, double lizards, and some of those icky golems.
That's a lot of stacks.
Yeah, old Narok here. He only has 2 points in Anchor Smash, but he will be able to retreat to that, and you'll see this Tide just kind of skyrocket in farm, and should be able to rush towards that Blink Dagger. Puck is starting to out-farm him
They're
a
using the
little bit.
Moonlight Shadow to go into the enemy territory here. You got Swindle and Z-Freak. They're going to turn the corner. Hey, Reality, how's it going? This is going to be your first gank attempt and probably your first blood. He's even going to commit the Black Hole for this one. Do they have the burst to take him down? The Ice Path there is saving him. And Pandago pulls out the coil and the shield. He is going to make his way out, but is Complexity going to be his lucky? Z-Freak and Swindle do split, but they both go into a bad end. Swindle goes to low ground. Morph is still on the hunt. A few more right clicks. They can take down the Storm Spirit. Can they get close enough? It needs more time. 6 more seconds. It's going to be Freak who ends up falling. They catch up with that Skywrath. Sorry, not the Skywrath Maze. They catch up with the Enigma and take him down.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Even for the first kill, that took a lot of effort from both teams. It looked like it was going to be a definite kill right there on Razor, but
That was such a close call. That's really the power of the Abaddon being bestowed before us there. It's just so close. Back to back. He was like in double digits of health. Gets
The
the
Ice Path
coil,
save
gets the
was huge,
shield.
too.
Yeah, the Ice Path was huge. So
Dire's
unfortunate for
bottom tower
Complexity.
is
A
under
good
attack.
rotation. Very sneaky with use of that Moonlight Shadow, but it backfires. And now Gerg, they strike back. Still about a 1,700 gold and experience lead for Complexity. So they've still gotten a lot more out of this laning phase despite that unfortunate first gank attempt. Moon, now number 1 on net worth, has his Aquila and phase boots, looking for a Drum of Endurance and just a recipe off. We'll get Bloodlusted here. Bloody 9, getting a very early point in the Bloodlust, and yeah, going this kind of well-rounded Ogre build. Now, it looks like Complexity will just try and push this bottom tier 1 tower. Buckler is complete on the Enigma, but Z-Freak actually going back for power treads, not rushing the mech as he well could have.
they're just going to add pressure here. Narok's busy doing the Ancient stack for now, it looks like,
Dire's
and he does
bottom
not have
tower is
Ravage,
under attack.
so had to commit that Ravage
Dire's
to take down the
structures are
Enigma,
fortified.
and it looks like Complexity know that, so without a Ravage to be worried about, they feel pretty secure going for this push. They get a Fire Blast and a little bit of Ignite pressure on Reality. Okay, Dago's going to be right there to assist him. I don't know if they're going for a full-blown defense. They're
Dire's
not. They
bottom
lose the
tower
tower.
has fallen.
They're just going to wait a bit longer. Narok
Dire's
should be able to
middle
secure his
tower is
Blink
under
very
attack.
easily with finishing out this stack, and then they can go for a turn of the tide.
Yeah, whoa, daddy.
There it is. Hold on a second, and yeah, very
Well,
good.
I think that's Gerg's squad. They really just wanted to come to protect the Tide. I don't think they really had any interest in defending that tower. They just wanted to make sure that Narok didn't get jumped on while he was killing this giant 5-stack of Ancients. And as you pointed out, that's more than enough for his Blink Dagger now with a couple hundred, or about 600 to spare or so. He also has his Arcane Boots up. So this is the real momentum shifter, is this Tide Hunter. And we've seen how much of an impact Tide can have with just Blink Arcane Ravage. Pardon me, Blink, well, but Blink Arcane Refresher. If he just rushes a Refresher off this,
Radiant's
that's a
middle
Tide Hunter
tower
that can
is
have a
under
huge
attack.
game impact
Yeah.
without an exorbitant amount of farm.
Yeah, sometimes we'll see them kind of go off the path if there's something else they need to fill the void with, like a mechanism, let's say. But I think for this kind of game, you can go more clean cut, go right for the double Ravage where it hurts the most. Complexity do have a reasonable way to kind of bounce back if that Ravage does come out, if they can get to it. Z-Freak is trying to throw together that mechanism, which could certainly bring back Complexity from even an early Ravage, being only level 1. It will do a reasonable setup, but as far as damage, it's not always the best, where a mech could just kind of fill it. But Moon Meander might be in trouble here. They're going to smoke jump on forward. Blink Ravage immediately lose. Do they have the Ice Path? They do. Is it enough lockdown to get Moon, though? It is. The burst of the shield was right there, and it was able to help out in taking down the Mirana. Gerg squad now move ahead 2-0.
That was a
Radiant's
pretty
bottom
close
tower
call.
is
If
under
that
attack.
shield didn't pop when it did, Moon would have been able to get off that leap, as we saw, maybe Moonlight Shadow, and then make the great escape. There are a couple of sentries down for the Dire, but that was a little close for comfort considering they committed a Ravage for it
Radiant
and a smoke.
structures are
Off that,
fortified.
it looks like Gerg will try and
Radiant's
pressure the
bottom
bottom
tower
tier
is
1
under
tower.
attack.
Meanwhile, Complexity grew up in the mid. They go in onto Justin. Not really looking for a kill, I think, as much just to harass him back so they can pressure this tower. They will
Radiant's
lose their
bottom
bottom
tower
tier
has
1,
fallen.
and not really getting a lot of pushing
Dire's
done
top
here in the
tower
mid,
is
but
under attack.
Swindle looking for a potential wrap around. Some TPs coming in. Gerg are in a position to take a fight, but without Ravage, they need to be somewhat cautious about how they do this.
Oh.
Arrow comes in, hits on Reality, but there's your Photic Shield. And That'll just cleanse him right up. No more stun on you.
He walked into that, unfortunately. Moonman just kind of set up to behind the tower and got someone right there with it. But, of course, Abaddon right there, able to aid out any sort of early arrow attempt, which could have gone haywire real quick. And this tower is now in low distance, low territory. And see if they're going to sneak it for a deny here. They can't quite get close enough. They don't want to overcommit as it's more complexity, putting everyone they can into it. Even Puck, who now finished off his Blink Dagger, came to the mid lane to make something happen without the Blink on hand. So it looks like Complexity just really want to be able to get some momentum going their way. They do take down the first structure, and their second structure. So they're still getting reliable gold for everyone. That secures the Blink. I think the mechanism is now secured and probably en route. It looks like it. Yes, it is. So there's your mech. So more items coming online now for Complexity.
Yes, sir. They're getting there. This Morphling has been pretty quiet this game. 0-0 and 0. Justin's had a lot of space to stay in that safe lane and just rack up the last hits. He is still the last hit leader, and perseverance on his power treads right now. So seems to be just keeping it steady, but whoa, daddy mid lane. Limp goes in. Dream Coil on the KRS. Storm Spirit comes zipping forward. They'll find the kill on the Jakiro. Now Moonlight Shadow comes out. Z-Freak does have a big black hole ready to rock and roll, but nope, no opportunities.
Not the right time.
Yep.
Steps back. I mean, Ravage is not up. The timing's pretty close, though, so maybe they're kind of second-guessing as if it will come up as he does the black hole. So, and obviously you'd like to get more than one, especially when you don't see a lot of Gerg squad on the map. Probably not well worth it, so they do grab the support regardless, though, for Gerg squad, and they'll just continue farming. I mean, Justin's been pretty quiet this game, farming on his morph, just doing his own thing, but that's the scary thing, is that he'll come back.
Yeah.
He'll come back real hard. He's
I
already
feel
got
like
his
he should have
perseverance.
maybe just gotten a Midas this game. Given how quiet he's been, he could be really farming out of control. Still close to that #1 seed on net worth. That gank in the mid will push things in favor of Swindle there temporarily.
But he's back.
Yep, and he's back. Yeah, there you go. So Lincoln's this game on the Morphling, I think still worth it. Not a lot that it will intercept, but enough that still gives him the regeneration he needs, those base stats. And then I think after that he can just go straight into Shotgun. You got a bunch of Squishmasters here, and Shotgun I think would be pretty potent.
We'll have to see. I'm curious. I mean, even at some point, a BKB wouldn't be too terrible, but he doesn't want to go all defensive too early, or maybe he does. Who knows? Moon does leap to the high ground, avoiding a little bit of extra burst, but still eats the liquid fire. Oh, arrow's not going to catch as the pullback there, the Vortex from Swindle. Trying to make it go on Nayrok, but he does pull back instead. I almost think that Nayrok could just pop the R-Hammer there, and they might have been able to make a return engagement, but they're still hanging about like that could be something they're considering. Just trying to start taking a little bit of damage towards his tier 1 Z-Freak, though, with that black hole. He's also nearby and at the ready. And on the outskirts, you're going to see Swindle and Reality dance a bit. So a lot of timid play happening here in the mid lane.
Yep. Both teams being cautious with how they choose to commit with. One side having a black hole and the other having a Ravage. It kind of makes sense that they're a little cautious about who gets the jump. Meanwhile, while that's happening, Limp gets a tier 1 tower kill in the top lane. And that does tip things in favor of Complexity with this stalemate here in the mid. Justin trying to do the same thing in the bottom lane. Will get repelled by the likes of Moon Mianda. And Complexity now glyphing their tier 1 tower mid. It does appear they will just let it fall as they move into the jungle and just go back to farming.
Nice. Reality does get the last hit on that tower. His Razor building up that much more. He's probably going to go what looks like right for the Aghanim Scepter. He has 1,400 gold now because of that tower takedown. He'll probably just grab that point booster. It doesn't look like a mechanism is on the agenda for him. As far as his team, no one else is really building into it. Maybe an item that Pandego could eventually go for on his Abaddon, but you don't want to be waiting too long to just get him back.
Yeah, the mech on no mech advantage could end up being pretty significant as, oh, Moonlight Shadow, they'll go in on to Justin. They've got a silence. Can they catch him before he starts morphing? Black hole, will they commit it? Yes, they will. Can they actually get this
necessary?
kill?
And they use it too. They need to make sure they can secure this kill on Morphling, but now they're in trouble as Reality comes forward. They turn it over. The Morph stats helping out here with Morphling. And Limp goes down, and Z-Freak might as well. The adaptive strike, man. Morphling is a tough cookie to crack. They invest 2 ultimates for it, and they lose 2 supports.
And a black hole. Oh, my God.
2 big ultimates just to take down 1 Morphling, and they couldn't even get him. And he didn't even have his Linkage complete.
That is bad. Bad. Expert analysis, but oof. They just simply didn't have the damage, underestimating what they could do. Or overestimating, I guess. really did a good job staggering off their abilities, opening with the silence on Puck into the black holes that he couldn't start morphing until the end, but
Radiant
frankly just
structures
lacking
are
the last hits there. So big win for the Gerg
Dire's
squad.
bottom tower is
After
under
that
attack.
fight, though,
Radiant's top tower has
Swindle did
fallen.
pick up his Orchid. So 18-minute Orchid.
Ooh,
pretty
long
decent
jump
timing.
in. Swindle now
Yeah.
has his Orchid. Doesn't quite put it to use yet. Sees that the Pandago level 6 is
Dire's
going to be
bottom
popped there.
tower
And
is under attack.
another engagement where they can't finish what they started, unfortunately, here. I know Swindle is just ready to try to snowball in his Storm Spirit with that Orchid, but he's waiting for the right opportunity. He's dancing mid lane with that Invis Rune, but he's still eating a little bit of damage from that Razor. So Gerg squad making it hard here for Complexity to find the opportunity to open up with some kills, and the pressure builds up for their late game now. Moon Meander farming pretty nicely throughout his own jungle. After getting that drums, he's going right for the Maelstrom. So there's your first damage item really coming together.
Yeah, ooh, Swindle, speak the devil, find somebody in the jungle. KRS takes a tumble. Now can he make the escape? Looks like Storm will be okay. He knew a Storm was coming.
They
but
want it so
whoa.
bad, and Nayrok gets it done. Ravage,
Single Ravage.
Anchor Smash, Hot Dogs, whatever it takes. He takes down Swindle.
Beats him with the hot dogs. Well, good kill there. Makes it a 1-for-1, and that does help harbor the Storm's momentum. That's more time he's in the grave, and can't be killing people with that Orchid. More space created for their Morphling. Justin, he picked up the Lincolns, as you mentioned, and another 1,000 gold to boot. So he is definitely coming online here as Z-Freak looks like he'll move into a BKB after Mech, and yeah, still not too much in the inventory of old Bloody 9.
BKB is going to be great here for the Enigma. Unlike the last time they had the Enigma pick and even got the BKB, there was a Lich on the other side, and you still had to second guess as far as how you could put out a black hole. But this game, there's not a lot in the other team to prevent him from getting that black hole off. So once he does get this BKB together, it makes a great setup that hopefully the rest of the team are going to be looking to clean on up. But as Gerg has already shown, they're resilient as ever. It's going to be hard to kind of crack through their very tough exterior, as the agenda here for Justin is just keep side farming, split pushing, taking advantage of your replicate as much as possible, and getting to the point where there's really no looking back.
Yeah, Gerg squad. They do have a callous exterior, it would seem. As, ooh, down bottom. Nayrok gets jumped on by Swindle. Out comes the Orchid. Bloody 9 on his way in, and yeah, they should find a quick pick here on the Tide Hunter. Even an arrow coming in from Moon Meander. And the Tide takes a tumble. That makes it 3-5. They get a nice little gold pick-me-up there. And, well, this graph, man, it's just about zeroed out as Complexity. They group up as 5. They're ready to put some pressure on this Tier 2 tower. Black Hole at the
Dire's
ready.
bottom
All of their
tower is
ultimates.
under attack.
And it looks like it'll be an easy one, as Gerg do not have much interest in contesting without Ravage.
Yeah, without Ravage, they don't have Morphling. You know, they're going to wait longer for that. So if they have to lose towers along the way, so be it. But this is an opportunity for Complexity to take
Radiant's
advantage of all
middle
those
tower is
resources on
under
the map
attack.
and build up more.
Dire's
Rotating to
bottom
mid lane.
tower
Bloody
is
9's going to
under
be first
attack.
on the defense here to stop the push pressure that is coming in currently from both Justin and Pendago. That's more than enough to send them back. And on the way out, it looks like Z-Freak's going to take away a couple of the ancient stacks. We have a Roshan that's been not contested yet, or no one really going for it. And bottom lane, Swindle going to be there to clean up and find his own side farm. So Complexity, they can go. They can start taking objectives because Gerg squad, they're kind of playing at more slow pace. They already had their opportunity in the mid game to get some quick catch up there with the Ravages, but now it's going to be on the Morphling to bring it together, and Razor as well. Razor does have the Agnums complete now. I'm curious to see what he's going to go for next, if he's going to start adding a little more utility to his team, and more specifically that Morphling. And that could add for a great formula for Gerg squad to take it in the late game.
I'm still a little worried for Complexity about the carry situation. Morphling is still a solid 2k up on the Mirana in terms of net worth, now has a Yasha, and even though Moon had a pretty good start, as we talked about, it's really about momentum, and Justin has the momentum advantage right now, and he's the harder carry. It just seems like Complexity still don't really have a great tool to deal with him. I mean, just look at how much damage he can do to the Storm all by his lonesome up top. Poking away at him, and if he ends up getting a shotgun, there's just so many squishy heroes on this Radiant side. Moon going for drums is kind of his only real stat item. Only 1,000 hit points. Yeah, that shotgun hurts.
I mean, it just goes to show they need to have Storm and Puck there to just try to even get a solo pickoff on a Morphling. They tried it before with Puck and Enigma, and we saw how that turned out. But with their 2 silences, maybe it's enough to kind of lock him in place long enough to get a quick takedown. But is the burst going to be there? I don't know. It just seems like it might have to be a full team effort to even take down the big and mighty Morphling at this point in the game. And this is still the early birthing stages of Morphling. He hasn't really gotten to his final form yet. So
Yeah.
I'm right there by your side. I'm a little nervous as well, but you know, Moon's done it before on his Mirana. He's pulled together enough serious right click and found himself in good positioning where they don't really even address the Mirana, and she's allowed to go full unrelentless right click damage on the whole team.
Yeah, the real key for Complexity will be BKBs this game. Tide well on his way to double Ravage, has just a Void Stone and a recipe to go before he has it. And they've only got one BKB in the works, and that's on the Enigma. So kind of a core item regardless on that hero. But no one else even making strides towards Magic Immunity, and double Ravage is just going to be so potent if they only have one BKB on the Enigma.
We'll see what they can do with it. This is their time to shine, it feels like, for Gerg, so they're going to press forward. They're going to go for this tier 2. You got Liquid Fire already stacked out and the Eye of the Storm out there and at the ready.
Whip's already been used. Puck, nice deny from Limp. Good
nice
timing there, but still, it's not even about the gold from that tower as much as the access point. That's your big one on the Radiant, and now you've got one left in terms of contesting Rosh, and it's this daddy down here. The tier 2 in the bottom lane, and that'll probably be the next to go down if Gerg's squad have their way with it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will here. You got Jakiro who's kind of scouting out the jungle on the way back, but items continue to come online. Not Black Hole, Enigma does get a hold of his BKB, so those black holes become a little bit safer as far as when the right time is to pull them out, and becomes more crucial for the positioning here for Gerg's squad to make sure they're not clumped up together on these kind of pushes. Now, Bloody Nine strutting on through with Swindle Melons. He almost had an opportunity to get a hold of Reality there, but he does make his way out, and it looks like Complexity, a lot of them committed here in the top enemy woods here.
Narok's invisible. That's a scary rune to have on a Tide Hunter when he's got his Ravage up. They'll see Storm farming up the creep wave. Ogre TPing out. Ice Path comes out a little too late, and they won't be able to punish anyone on Complexity. But
they want to get Morphling bottom. They even pull out Moonlight Shadow, but he's already gone. So this Moonlight Shadow is not going to be coming out to anything, at least for the time being, and they're going to go right back to farming in the jungle once they see that Morphling had pieced out and had made his appearance elsewhere here in the top lane.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of the games where the graphs are really deceiving. It looks like a decent lead for Complexity, 2,500 gold, 2,000 experience, but it's really all because of the Enigma. If you look at the net worth breakdown, Gerg are holding the top of the chart pretty handily with Morphling at 13k. Then there's this big drop-off after Tide where Complexity have that one support who's right there with the offlaners and the puck. So if you take that extra farm that the Enigma has away, it's all about the Gerg right now, and they have some serious momentum. You can feel the Complexity just don't really want to square up against them in a team fight if they can avoid it.
Well, they might have to here because they're pushing in from the north now, and this is going to be a lot of pressure on this tier 2. Eye of the Storm once again committed, plus Liquid Fire means that this tower can crumble pretty quickly. Even the creep wave doesn't really stand much of a chance, and Complexity, I don't think they're defending this one either. They're just going to have to sack this one over, but they don't have as much late game potential to just kind of like fall back on like Gerg's squad do. When Gerg were losing their towers, it's like, you know, it's fine. It's going to happen eventually. You know, they might get them early as long as we still have space to farm and bring it together for our Morphling, we should be fine. But Complexity, they're looking to go for a big play here. They are smoked up, looking to maybe see if they can catch anyone out from the way out. Or actually, they're going to go right for Rosh here and just kind of sneak it from behind their back.
Okay, this is a risky play, but I like it. Complexity needs something to get some momentum back in this game, and Rosh will be a step in the right direction. Z-Freak will be able to mech up. They've got some illusions that'll make this a little bit easier, but our
taking a lot of work.
Privy to it. Yeah, they're kind of nearby, and they could contest this, but they just don't seem to have the intel that they need.
They don't.
Oh, how unfortunate for the Dire side. How's Justin's farm looking? Now has a Manta style complete. Another 1,200 gold to go.
This is big. This is a nice grab. Gerg have been trying to set this up, taking down those towers and putting down nice wards, so they have the opportunity to go in there, or at least get some wards to put down. But for now, it's Complexity. After they lose their tower there, they just kind of make the bold decision to move right into Rosh, and they make the right call. They get a hold of that, and it's a small advantage for them that they could certainly use in an upcoming team fight where they might be at a disadvantage just because of the farm potential on the side of Gerg.
Yeah, certainly so. I think Complexity need to get aggressive here. The onus is on them. We've talked about their lack of late game compared to Gerg. Of course, Storm Spirit is a hero that scales pretty well into the late game. One of the best kind of int carries on that front, as that big mana pool just sort of gives him almost limitless potential. But like the Mirana, he needs the momentum, needs the farm, and I think if the net worth was reversed for 1 and 2, I'd have a lot more confidence in this Storm. But given that the Morphling's already 3k up on him, they've got some tools to deal with this Morphling, or pardon me, to deal with this Storm Spirit. And not quite the same for the Morphling. Basically just Puck's silence. And outside of that, Rough stuff.
Plus the double Ravage that's going to be coming in the near future is something that they're going to have a lot of trouble with. I mean, Enigma does have his BKB, but no one else really does.
Yeah, and that's where I would have thought Swindle would go for one, and I almost questioned this Bloodstone pick a little bit. Obviously a great item on Storm Spirit, but I think BKB against double Ravage has to be a priority. Tidehunter has his Perseverance now, and not far off that recipe.
We'll have to see, man. They're moved together here, Gerg squad. As a full man unit, as nighttime will fall, so that vision becomes a little more restricted than you like, and this is where it's crucial to make sure you have the wards out so you can get that kind of intel. But there's not a lot really from both teams here. I'm just trying to look over the vision, and both teams kind of lacking a little bit. You got a little bit of vision up here at the top here for Complexity, checking out the rune area, but both teams don't really know what's happening on the other side of the world. And this could be a pretty quiet night as far as engagement because of that. You're going to see a continuation of farm coming out. Moonmeander previously took down those Ancients, so now he's near 2k gold. No BKB coming yet. You have that early makings of the Satanic I was talking about from previously, which he took big advantage of. But I don't know if it's going to work out too well this game, especially once the team fight really comes together here. And I don't think Gerg squad are looking to fight until they get that refresher.
Yeah, and I think it's a key item to wait for. And yeah, you make a good point with Moon and the Helm and the Dominator. It's certainly a good item, and Satanic does present a lot of options, but I mean, double Ravage gives you a lockdown for a lot of time, and that gives your Morphling and Razor plenty of opportunities to lay into you. Now Moon will commit to the full Mjolnir, so getting a lot of damage on him. Starting to sound like a broken record here, Coddle guy.
It's okay. I mean, but they are they want to wait, but now they can't wait. I mean,
and KRS
perfect
also
timing
has
for Gerg. They get the refresher, and they have the Aegis to use. So are they going to put it to use here? But now they're going to be fighting in a double Ravage, and this could be a serious wake-up call. But hey, you never know in this kind of game. I've seen plenty of Ravages thrown out there that really come out to nothing, and it could be a quick turn if those Ravages don't get put to effective use. But now you have 2 minutes are on the clock to put this Aegis to use, or are you just going to sit on it?
Smoke rotation from the Gerg squad. They're going to get Gergen in the Radiant Jungle. Let's see what they can do. They might bump into a Storm Spirit. He'll reveal himself in lane. They're counting their options here.
One, though.
Yeah, they don't want to Ravage. Just a Singleton Bloody 9, double damage rune. They'll hit him with a little bit. And Tide picks up an invisibility rune. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Fishing Arrow flies through, hits on the Jakiro. And now KRS, yeah, he's done.
What an arrow. Wow! That was a really good arrow. I mean, he didn't know where he was. He threw it out there, and conveniently, Jakiro did walk right into it. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they're going to potentially catch out Justin here. Coil and the combo from Swindle. There's the 2 silences we need, plus the burst coming out from Bloody 9, and they still can't do it yet. Here's Pandago to save him and just kind of keep the rest of them back. They turn their sights on Pandago, immediately make him pull out the borrowed time, but even with 3, they can't take down the Morphling.
Ravage on 2 as Narok comes in, has the refresher, hasn't used it yet. Not sure what he wants to commit to this fight, and won't find any kills out of it. First Ravage, kind of a dud. And it will still be Complexity that come out ahead with that quick pick, but Morphling just showing us what he's made of here, and Justin just proving that his farm has paid off, and it's just going to get worse from here. It looks like probably a Scotty is next item of choice, and getting all those ultimate orbs, so many stats, and oh boy, I just don't know how you deal with this Morphling. It's just going to get worse from here.
Well, they're trying to split push, trying to add pressure elsewhere. Top lane. Arrow actually connects here on Narok, but of course it's going to be quickly taken down due to the close range and of course being a Tidehunter. But they get a little bit of damage very nicely here on the tower. Not quite low enough that they'd like. Moonmeander presses forward though. Blink forward. It's only a black hole on 1. It's the quick reaction from Narok that does get him back, but regardless, they do finish off the Jakiro, and Enigma makes his escape on the back end of that BKB. They couldn't quite stop him. He had waited a long time to use that BKB. I mean, how long has he had it? And that's his first time using it.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a good 10, 15 minutes or so. But both teams are sort of lackluster big ultimates there.
Ultimate, yeah, for just a Jakiro.
Yeah, Narok's first Ravage, not so hot. He was going for the 2, obviously, but yeah, Fast Fingers and Jackie the only one that got left behind. Well, let's look at the graphs, and it is Complexity that are coming out ahead gold-wise, finding more farm, about 7,500 gold and nearly 12,000 experience. So they are still doing okay. And top lane, Justin versus Limp. Dream Coil comes out, and Justin, he'll be okay with it. He'll weather the storm at least for now. Soon to expire, won't break the tether, but now the party's arrived. Moon Meander's here. Lincoln's gets broken. Justin morphing as quickly as he can, but not fast enough.
They got him now.
Only took
a
4
lot.
heroes.
They got it, and he just couldn't quite get away from that coil. It was a good setup from Limp to kind of keep him tussled there. And with that team follow-up, the quick movement they take him down finally. It's a big takedown. He has plenty of gold, so, you know, worst case scenario, we need to buy back. I imagine he won't need to, but Complexity certainly happy with that one here as the farm keeps kind of slowly coming in. I don't know, man. It's getting a bit finicky. As long as Complexity keep a good, solid plan, maybe split push, take down the towers on the side, Gerg could be stuck in a situation where they have a hard time with commitment issues.
They could be. Maybe next Roche is what teams are waiting it out for. Still a while before he'll be coming back up. Z-Freak, meanwhile, in the jungle, he's got kind of this tri-core of Enigma items. The Mech, the Blink, and the BKB. Probably a refresher, the next item. And his sights, Bloody 9 on the Ogre, 1300 off his Aghanims. And it is interesting to see Puck with the Aghanims here, but I love that he gets the Force Staff on top of it because, hey, that's one of the best ways to combo it. Force Staff them so they break the tether, and you get that
even through
huge,
BKB,
meaty 4.5 second stun.
Yeah. Even BKB or not. Will not matter. You'll get stunned, so your precious Razor BKB is not going to stop that. And now mid lane, Swindle here lingering alone, but look who's pressing on forward, KRS. Nope, quick reaction pullback from Swindle, doesn't want to risk anything. Once he sees one person, that's more than enough. He doesn't want to get risked getting blinked on because it looks like Nayrok should have 2 Ravages here. Yeah, he does.
Yep.
First he's going to skid off the room at the top. It's a haste. What a grab. Now pushes forward.
Dire's top
Moon
tower
enters on the
is
high
under
ground here. His
attack.
smoke's going to be popped, so
Well, Moon just
scout
farming
him.
Ancients for now, and has about 4,000 gold up on this Mirana. Team Gerg, arrow comes in, hits on Reality. It's a 4-second stun, but Complexity nowhere to be found. There's your Aphotic Shield, and Reality will be just fine. All right, Complexity hanging in there for now. Another 4,000 gold up on Swindle also.
I mean, they don't have BKB. I mean, Gerg Squad know this. That's why they're looking for a fight. But Black Hole, rather, is up in about 10 seconds. As they move through the jungle here,
Moonlight Shadow.
forces a Moonlight Shadow to allow them to safely make their way out. But they have a gem here on Pandega, who is in the front, so he could see them here.
They want Justin. I think they're aware of the gem, so they will back it on out. Smart positioning from Complexity. Almost a close call for that Morphling. They would have burned a solo Black
Ping
Hole,
him
I
there,
think.
though. They're still moving up behind the lane. And
Z-Freak, he
Enigma
makes
does
it
make
out.
his way out.
Yeah, and it looks like Storm will be just fine. So, Complexity, they'll group up and push the mid, while Gerg, they'll group up in the bottom, and this will probably end up being a Tier 2 for Tier 2 tower exchange, though. We got some Eidolons.
Dire's
Look at
middle
these
tower
pesky
is
buggers
under
cutting
attack.
this lane in half down bottom. And Swindle will clear it out.
Radiant's
So,
bottom
Gerg
tower
Squad going to be
is
stuck
under
with the
attack.
few creeps they have. Will be
Radiant
more than enough to
structures
finish
are
off this tower.
fortified.
Manta from the
Dire's
Morphling
middle
utilized
tower-
here. They will
Dire's
concede
middle
their
tower
Tier 2 in
has
the mid.
fallen.
Now 5,000 gold up on
Radiant's
Mianda.
bottom tower has
And
fallen.
tower for tower. Where do we go from here? Gerg Squad, sights set towards the high ground. Everyone's back to defend except that of the Mirana. Both teams with all of their ultimates available.
She's going right for Butterfly, too.
Yeah.
She's about an Eagle and the Talisman, so no
Wow.
buyback for her. She's still just going to hang mid lane. She's getting some damage in on the
Dire's
Tier 3
middle
tower,
tower
and it looks
is
like
under
Gerg Squad are going to have to pull back.
All right, Gerg Squad, they are indeed getting stuck in this window where they have some tools, but simply can't use them. Complexity being very wise about how they take their fights. And now that window where the double Ravage versus the lack of BKBs coming to a close. Storm Spirit, just about enough gold for his. Moon, well, he spent his money, but I still think BKB has got to be in his future. But even just a BKB on the Storm makes a world of difference when you're talking about dealing with
I think Moon's just one of those kids, though. He's like, I can find the positioning. I don't need to worry about it. I'll put myself in a spot where I'll be able to dish out the heavy damage, and they won't even have the opportunity to really lay in a lot on myself. So it's kind of the same with the Ra likes to play on Power Rangers, where he doesn't go more like BKB when you think it's wise on like a Clinks, let's say. He's like, nope, I'm going to go more damage. I want to be able to go fast, go quick, hit hard, and bring it back together for my team because our late game is already in question. If I can pull the damage together faster than this Morphling can, who's busy getting more stats and more defense, maybe we can get it done. But it's a bit of a risky play.
Got to go fast.
It's really risky here as the Roche is up now. If Gerg were anxious for a fight to come their way, they can always move into the Roche pit. But even then, very, very nerve-wracking as far as what the right call is going to make because with one big swing of a team fight, and you've already made a big investment in an item, let's say, you're not going to be coming back, you're not going to have a good defense, and you're going to be losing racks.
Yeah. What a passive game, though. This is the
11 kills
the
in
very
near
antithesis
40
of,
minutes.
yeah,
This
of what I think
it's quite
so.
a day so far.
Yeah, it's the very opposite of what I think of when NA Dota is set. I think of sort of CIS style, very aggressive, some crazy kills, crazy picks.
I do have to say, though, that Complexity is one of the teams, if you're talking about like NA style, that are not very NA style. They like to farm up, and they will take their time before finishing. They'll get up to like 40K, 30K gold leads, and then like, okay, now we will end the game. But in this game, they can't do that. And now they're going to get jumped on. Bloody 9, they're standing now, going to be caught out and immediately bursted down. It's Justin who gets the kill, and they're like, now we're up 5 versus 4. Let's go for Roche, boys, and they're going to move on in.
Yeah, absolutely smart time to do it. So that's all you need to get Roche. A little quick pick there. Double damage room picked up on Moon. Will that be enough for them to contest? Well, Bloody 9, he buys back.
Now they have to second guess. They're like, oh.
If they want to contest Roche, that buyback completely necessary. But Morphling, he's chunking him down. Scotty making it very easy. Puck
has
shoots
a
an
DD,
orb
though.
in.
He's clearing out mid. If he starts heading towards the Roche pit and they pull out the Moonlight Shadow, he can catch someone on the back lines here, but they ping it out.
Nowhere nearby, though. Moonlight Shadow's been used. Maybe he'll come in for the tail end of the fight, but not anytime soon.
They have a gem,
First
though.
Ravage, complete whiff. Moon Meander caught inside of an ice path. Z-Freak, where's the black hole? Looking for the opportunity, can't find it. Justin will finish off Roche. There's the refresher. Second Ravage comes out, a lot of damage onto Z-Freak. He'll get off the BKB. There's your black hole on 2. Locks Justin in place, but it won't be enough. Z-Freak falls. Justin stands his ground, going in onto Bloody 9. Meanwhile, around the backside, it looks like the rest of the Gerg squad's been completely cleaned up. It's just Justin left. Pudding Pop comes in, and he'll get completely demolished. It looked like an Oaks K fight for Gerg at the start, but it all just went downhill very quickly.
It's all that positioning, and now they're going to kite around here. Justin does miss the arrow there. He waveforms forward. Would love to get a hold of Moon Meander if possible, but he might get caught in a bad position. TP's down below, but look who's above. It's Swindle. Does he have the time to catch him? He does not. Vortex, unfortunately, is not up. It needed about 3 more seconds. Justin will live on. Their prized Morphling, though, does lose the Aegis right there, and Gerg squad lose the fight. The positioning was big right there. Moon Meander came in from behind. You know, they pull out the Moonlight Shadow. They knew that Pandago has a gem, so the flight ended up being split. They had 2 or 3 members trying to take down Moon with the Yules, Ice Path, Macropyre, the whole kit and caboodle, while the rest of the team were trying to dealing with everyone else. So the commitment issues are just a bit curious here. Gerger's split all over the place. They can't really work as a unit to focus fire someone.
Yeah, and that's where that fight just erupted into kind of chaos, where you had the Morphling kind of going down this way, chasing here, and then you had everybody else kind of going this way, dealing with Moon, and they were just taking too much damage. And yeah, sure, the Morphling got a couple of little pick-me-ups, but needs to keep his team alive, and they really just need more out of the Ravages. That first Ravage from Narok, you can't have one of them miss. If they want to take a team fight, they need to have 2 Ravages that at least hit 2 heroes, do some decent lockdown, and take somebody out of the fight to get things started. His Ravages that fight didn't really achieve that. The first one was the total miss. The second one was okay. I would say good, not great, as far as Ravages go.
Double Ravage is a powerful tool, but with a powerful tool becomes powerful responsibility. And if you can't not get 2 optimal Ravages off, that could make for the easiest fight of your life. Then things get bad real quick, because one Ravage ain't going to cut it later into the game. You need to have both of them to really get it out there. But now, Complexity have thrown together a BKB on your Storm Spirit. Fresh 10 seconds, bright and new. Those Ravages aren't going to matter a whole lot when Swindlemelons gets on the loose with the Storm Spirit, catching around, picking off quick supports with that Orchid. And now his 3K on top of it. Complexity are getting pretty farmed. And Gerg squad need to make sure they have a lot outside of this Morphling.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's the big problem. We're seeing that disparity where Morphling is super farm, still #1 on net worth, but one Morphling can't do it alone. His back isn't big enough. He can't carry all these big heroes like Tide.
You might need to consider pulling out Plan B and just doing more split push Morphling. I mean, I don't think we're seeing that enough. Where as other big Morphling players like your 40R or Ewo or Lakells used to be back in the day, they build up a lot, and they're just a nuisance on the sidelines. Like you're just like, God, this Morphling, man.
Yeah.
He's down there. He's moving into our base now, and every time we move down there, he just pulls out with Replicate. He plays it so safe. You know, he's a wussy. But you know what? That wussy gets the win.
Come on, wussy. You got to fight more. It's like the taunt of a 5th grader. Wussy, your ass is grass.
Dire's
meet me
top
under the
tower
monkey
is
bars.
under attack.
Well, Swindlemelons, he's invested that 3K gold into a full Shivas now after that 10-second BKB, so he is a complete beefcake. There's your refresher out on the Enigma.
That's a big grab.
And Moon has completed his Satanic. So Butterfly, Mjolnir, Satanic. Forget about magic immunity. Moon Meander is doing this one the old-fashioned way with some raw right clicks, putting a little vengeance behind those arrows.
You have Enigma now. I mean, he's got 8 seconds still. He's been a bit prudy with his BKB, and it's paid off for him here as it's not already down to 5. I don't think it will last through 2 full black holes, but by that point he would
Dire's
hopefully
top
have a
tower
big
is under
grasp
attack.
onto Gerg, and it can be devastating. Even through any sort of BKB, that black hole will hold you there. And clearly with the position that Complexity have shown, they could do a lot of damage from the outside with your Swindlemon, Storm Spirit, and of course Moon Meander now bringing together huge right-click damage. There's your Satanic now complete.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I would imagine an MKB could be something he looks for next. I mean, I don't think there's the evasion really there built up. It's
No,
not
more
like...
fling.
Well, he does have an Eagle Song, so...
Hard to say if it'll be a butterfly or a shotgun.
That's
43
true.
minutes, going for the E-Blade.
So Moon could just save up a big investment here, and once he sees what Morphling grabs, then he can build on top of that, whether it be an MKB, whether it be crit, or who knows, maybe he then pulls together a BKB. BKB pretty late still helps. It's 10 full seconds at this point in the game. That's nice.
Very nice indeed. Gerg squad grouped up as 5. Just Gerg here in the top lane. Scythe of Vice out on the Lightning Revenant. Surprised to see that. Reality doing a very atypical build here. No mech. No refresher. Just into a Scythe. Maybe refresher will be his next item. Very good in tandem with the Scythe. Little O-Speak. The Devil Swindle doing some math. Figuring out if he can solo down this Razor. And nope. Won't go for it. Instead just breaks the rune and we'll clear up the creep wave.
Sheepstick on Razor.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
Sheepstick's always a great item. I mean, no matter who it's on, definitely adds a lot. Does take away a bit from Razor's own, personal output.
It's just
But-
more. I mean, yeah. I don't think Scythe of Ice is bad. It's just more the Ags refresher is ridiculous. The Double Eye of the Storm just does so much damage. I mean, it destroys structures, but in team fights, it wrecks you. I mean, even if Enigma catches you in a good black hole, if you've got Double Eye of the Storm on, that Enigma's going to be taking some pretty quick damage.
I was going to say it certainly would help if their team had a Shivas, but it looks like Nayrok's going to be that one. He already has the Mystic Staff. I don't think he's going to also go for a Sheepstick. I think he personally is going to go for the Shivas, and the double Shivas at that with the refresher. So that works out very nicely for some of these heroes like Mirana who like to hop and bop all over the place and try to do damage from the outside. So he's already pulled together now 2,700 gold. We're still trying to keep an eye here on Morphling Justin, what he's going to do with this Eagle Song, if it will be the Eth Blade or if it will be a Butterfly.
Well, the way he's pulling up gold, I imagine it will be the Butterfly. Wants to make sure he has enough for a buyback. I mean, looking at the E-Blade, not going to be able to one-shot the Storm. Puck at 1,700. Moon. I mean, none of these heroes are squishy enough to just, like, shotgun down. That's part of the power of that item, is getting it quickly so that you have this window when you can basically 100 to 0 somebody and just feed on the supports. But Ogre, we've talked about all that jelly he's got in the belly. He's not going to be easy to solo down, and
he's still trying to get Nags,
yeah,
which will be big. Once he gets it, it'll be big.
always.
But he's working. He's constantly working overtime here to try to get a hold of that precious stick. But
Yeah.
he'll get it soon enough.
Oh, even ogres need scepters. Looks like his little torch is
For a greedy lineup that we had pointed out in the draft, he of course has to be the most selfless one, and he also got picked off recently, so it does bring him down a peg, but he'll get back in online. And Bloody Nine just kind of filling in that extra support role, the selfless Ogre Magi. Did a really good job early in the game, had a nice bouncer impact to kind of prevent any sort of early initiation, but for right now he's just trying to get a little bit of late game potential with that Agnums.
Well, Complexity still just greeding it up, sitting on their side of the map.
It's a
and
Butterfly on your Morphling, so Moon is going to see this. He'll be like, okay, that means I'm going to get an MKB. He already got the Demon Edge right on cue. And he's like, that's it, 2 more Javelins, and your Butterfly is not going to be that much use against me. And, I mean, this is going to be the second time straight I've seen Moonyan pull together a pretty fabulously Mirana that can contest the late game pretty well. If he can do it. It's a big if. I mean, Morphling's a Morphling after all. Gerg Squad have together a pretty nice lineup.
This is a pretty sizable lead for Complexity. The Morphling might be big, but Moon's just straight up one item ahead of him almost at this rate. Not in actual inventory items, but he gets the Butterfly, and now that the Morphling's got his Butterfly, we won't see a fight before that MKB comes out. Moon's only 1,300 gold short. He's been working the Ancients
And
like
Moon has a
crazy.
Butterfly. And there's no MKB on Gerg.
Exactly.
They can't hit her.
All they have is the Hex Stick on the Razor. That's kind of their only tool to deal with it.
But that just comes down to them making sure they have the same focus on far as what they want to get done in these fights. In the heat of the moment, you need to make sure that you're got your head straight and you can hear the call as far as what objective you want to go for in the fight, who you need to focus down. Moonlight Shadow's going to put Swindle all the way forward. He's going to scout out Nayrok here, who is on his own. If they make the jump right here, it's going to be big, and they will. They jump in, get a nice grab here on Nayrok. He's not going to get anything off. Is he going to? Nope, he's not going to expend a Ravage. He can't. It's not worth it. He goes down for 70 seconds without a buyback, and now they put their attention towards Swindle, who pops his BKB and quickly jumps out, but a jump in from Z-Freak makes a very nice black hole on 2. He refreshes for the second. Can he find a good target with it? Not ideally, but does get enough down to take out the Morphling and the Jakiro. Now they go towards reality. They could go for a full 5-man here if they want, and they could. Limp jumps forward, so does Swindle. It's 5 all day when it's said and done, and it's all complexity.
On 3, they're all dead.
Boy, what a disaster for Team Gerg. That is basically your game-winning fight there. Even if Complexity don't win the game directly off this push, that's all she wrote. That fat lady is singing up a storm. Buyback from the Razor, but what are you going to do, little lightning reverend? Read us a Bible passage? Good luck, 1 versus 5.
Huge engagement on the bottom lane. They use the Moonlight Shadow, they scout out, and unfortunately for Nayrok, just far from his crew, and after he was taken down, they still wanted to fight. They felt like they could do something, but they weren't banking on that. Enigma still has 2 black holes to work with a BKB on top. There's just nothing they could do about it. I think it was a bad fight. They should have pulled back, waited out, take advantage of having the high ground from there, but Complexity make a nice follow-up jump in with Z-Freak there with that black hole, and they quickly focus fire and take out that Morphling.
And now all they have to do is basically rinse and repeat. That was even without an MKB completed on Moon, and they need to be a little bit careful for this next, 2-minute window while Enigma still has his Refresher and Black Hole on cooldown, and there's still a double Ravage available on the Tidehunter. This is the window where they absolutely don't want to fight, and Gerg have a little bit of an opportunity to get some serious counter kills, but they'll finish off Roche. Moonlight Shadow for the escape. Arrow flies through, connects on nothing, and Complexity get away with it. Scot-free, virtually unscathed. Now a cheese on the Storm. Who? This guy's got 8,000 gold.
It's a serious offshore account already built up. The grandma's inheritance is very much real, and they're just rolling in the dough like Scrooge McDuck at this point. I mean, it's their game to lose, and Gerg Squad, it's time to pull out your all or nothing.
Looks like a Scythe will be coming out for Swindle for his final item. He'll pass the cheese over to his buddy Ogrimanji there, and Bloody 9 will have his ability to heal up. Now that he's got his Aghanim Scepter, might need it for the mana. Unrefined Fire Blast ready to do some work is now also BOTs grabbed by Swindle. So much momentum for Complexity. The gold lead, 30,000. I almost forgot a 0 there. 30,000 gold, 40,000 experience. Oh boy, Gerg Squad, they're hanging in there. That's admirable, but this is looking pretty grim.
This is Complexity gaming, man. They keep it collected and cool, and when they have the advantage, they hold on to it, and they execute. If it means 30k, 40k gold leads before they kind of make sure they seal the deal. You can see it by the Roche. Even at the end of the Roche, they have the Moonlight Shadow pulled out, the Orb to go up to the north to scout out anyone moving in. They see Gerg coming, and they spread quickly. They just play it very safe. You know, they're working together in this LA house. Now they do have nice Yules here on Moon. They lock him in place with the Fire Path. So how much burst is going to be there? The quick Force Staff and a leap away, and he's out, and he barely gets down to half life.
Team Gerg making a hold at their tier 3 in the top lane, but it takes a fair bit of damage, and they lose their tier 2. So Complexity still okay with this exchange so far. Just getting a general picture for the items. There's 2 Slice on the Radiant, 1 on the Dire, and Aegis is up on Moon Meander. So we may see them just try to bait with the Mirana a little bit. Stay in the front lines, and
And Nayrok, he's got to land a pretty good double Ravage here. Enough for them to try to take apart Moon Meander at least, but
there's a lot on Nayrok here. He is the maker to break it for this fight. If you can get off the double Ravages and hit 5, that'll be
they're
great.
going on bottom though.
Yeah,
Quick jumping
KRS.
through Swindle. He's trying to take out the support. Can he get it done quickly and add pressure elsewhere? But look who's creeping in the top. The rest of Complexity are going to go for the base while Swindle's doing this. They get the tier 3. The right click is real for Moon. He might be able to get this Rax. There's your Ravage. It only catches on Moon. He's going to commit the second one for it. No, he's not. There's the second one. Aegis.
Saving it for when Moon comes back up, and Z-Freak's in. BKB Black Hole. The second Ravage goes off. It's enough to lock down Moon, but they lose their Razor. Now the rest of the Dire team in some trouble. Second Black Hole connects on Pandago. Puck will end up falling as Justin lays in the auto attacks. Complexity don't have it. They needed better Black Holes than that. Bloody 9 will eat the cheese. That buys him some time. but taking too much damage from this Morphling, getting a lot of ding-ding-ding-dings. A forecast comes out, but still just not enough. And Gerg squad, hold on, just barely, but still in it.
They're still in it, but they're down still 2 different sets of racks from both mid and bottom. They lose the tier 3 top. Now these racks are exposed. It was a valiant effort, of course, from Complexity. Swindle going on the bottom lane made the rest of Gerg squad pull away from the top. They secured the tier 3, but then they caught out Moon. They did take him down. They took out the Aegis. Moon did buy back promptly after, and Boots had traveled himself to the mid lane. So now Moon is without a buyback.
Yep.
So if something goes wrong real quick and they catch up Moon Meander here, he is out of the game for a long period of time. So we'll see. I imagine Complexity, they'll play it extra safe. Or the opposite side here, Gerg squad, they might not. They might try to push out quickly and go for a big play to try to bring this game back in their favor. There's your Satanic now complete. Now, he can't do a whole lot to Moon still because he doesn't have an MKB, and Moon has that butterfly, but anyone else he gets a hold of, he's going to have a huge, huge gain of resources in these fights.
Yeah, this is turning into a pretty interesting game. Gerg squad obviously still on the back foot. They didn't have to use their glyph last time, but just one misstep, one failed fight, and they are 1 lane of barracks away from certain defeat. An awkward engagement last time, Swindle trying to bait in the bottom. I think it was generally a good idea. It was just Gerg that had the better of them in terms of positioning, and oh boy. Tidehunter also bought back in that last engagement, so he won't have one. If he gets caught out and taken down before he uses Ravages this next time around, things will be a lot more difficult. So we'll see how Complexity handle it. I think it may be in their interest to stay a little aggressive here. They have such a gold lead that they can sort of afford to do that again. They can't afford to get totally wiped up, but I think they should try to stay aggressive and keep Gerg kind of cornered on their side of the map as much as they can.
Yeah, they can't get too assertive, especially more for Moon. The rest of his team have reasonable amount of gold to have buybacks at the go if needed. But for himself, the real right-click damage dealer on their team, he can't get as overzealous in these fights, leaping into there and being in right in the heat just to get a couple of structures. I don't know if it could be worth it. Even if it means getting a hold of Megas for your own life, Gerg squad could still quickly get back on the other side of the map and go straight for tier 4s, so there's always that in the game. And now with such a huge gold lead, any fight that Gerg squad wins, they get huge gold. The rubber band's real, my friend.
That's true. The rubber band is still there. Now an Aghanim Scepter picked up on Enigma. I think a good read from Z-Freak, feeling the lack of damage in that last fight. Now can get off the double Midnight Pulse, and that's a lot of damage. 10% per second. Ooh, that hurts.
And Z-Freak too, man, with that refresher. Not the best setup there at the top lane, but the potential's there. And
it was a very good split from Gerg squad. They didn't make it easy for Z-Freak, that's for sure.
No. Well, now he has double black hole, so maybe they make something happen here in the top lane, but Gerg squad, the same idea. Timid play still from both. It seems like it's going to be an easy snag here at some point for Complexity to try to get something done here as far as cleaning out the last 2 racks. Swindle is constantly putting in extra hours here on the bottom lane, pushing it forward so that Gerg have to at least put someone down there. And that's one less person that could defend top lane. But for most of Gerg, they're going right down mid lane.
Yeah, Swindle, he may just try to rat Dota this as best he can. Does have BOTs.
Yeah.
So
he's going to go right for top.
Forward to commit. Does he go for top? Does he start chipping at tier 4s? What's the movement here? Backdoor protection's broken. He goes right onto the base, goes for sure damage onto the range barracks, tries to hop back, waits too long, now turned into a sheep. Will they be able to bring him down still? Looks like it, but they do force him to use a BKB. And definitely not what he wanted. But now this is where Storm gets super annoying. With that huge mana pool, he can zip basically halfway across the map. And there's just no catching up.
Yeah, I mean, Complexity, man. They're adding pressure on the side so that if Gerg wanted to go with an all or nothing kind of a play, they can't even go with all. They have to have like 4 or 3 maybe and keep constantly people on back guard kind of duty, and then go back to square one as far as pushing the lanes back out past the river and then come together and make something happen. But by the time that happens, Roche is going to be back up, so that could be our next huge engagement. If Gerg squad could secure Roche, it would definitely be a lot more comfortable for him. If Complexity get it, then, well, I think they're going to have a huge team fight where they're not going to be able to stop them from taking the last 2 racks.
And this is still the fundamental problem for Gerg. Even though they have a decent squad that can take team fights and possibly even just beat Complexity in a heads-up 5-on-5 engagement, they still can't really counter-push that easily. And they wanted to go in as 5, but it just takes one pesky Storm Spirit to move into their base once backdoor protection is broken. And even now, he could just zip in, finish off this tier 4 tower, and Sure, not a game-breaking change, but still some positive exchange for Complexity, while Gerg slowly but surely run out of that finite resource, which is structure hit points at this stage of the game.
All right, let's
Here
see.
we go.
Moonlight Shadow called out as most of Complexity here on the bottom. They want to make a move on Justin. They might be able to take him off from behind. They quickly remove the Lincolns, pull him right back in. Shiv's going to be popped right now. Justin bursted down. Nice multicast. Can he get away from this one? He can. He's down. He does have buyback. He is out for 100 seconds, however. Pandago might fall shortly thereafter. Borrowed Time's going to be popped, but Swindle's on the hunt. That's going to force the TPs to come on out. But they can't all quite TP away, can they? It's Reality who's stuck behind. He couldn't TP back. And now Nayrok, who does show up, pulls out the Ravage. The buyback is going to be used from Justin. And they do take down Swindle. But with that Bloodstone, he's only out for 20 seconds. They finish off Reality on the other side of the world. He also has a buyback, but out otherwise for 80 seconds.
I think still a good trade for Complexity there. Ends up being a 2-for-1, and they force out a buyback. Pretty good stuff. Now with Storm respawning very soon. Roshan, it was a quick respawn for him also, and this could be an opportunity.
If Complexity get this, I would just say they win. I mean, Moon's going to have his buyback now up here within 30 seconds. And about, a little bit of extra gold, which he'll farm up along the way. Slash the takedown of Roche would certainly help that. But having the Aegis Life, having that buyback available with his Boots of Travel, I think they'll have just kind of a big force that Gerg would have a really hard time, even with 2 Ravages stopping from losing to Megas.
Oh my god, that Morphling, he's risking it. Had a replicate outside of the pit, which was smart, but
man. If he gets a steal here or something happens, Gerg squad come in, double Ravage, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's a lot of potential here, but Roche falling quickly.
Way quick.
They're going to come in. Roche goes down to the Radiant. Who's going to take the Aegis? It is the Enigma. Now the fight breaks out on the high ground. 4x onto the bird. That'll be a dead Jakiro. First Ravage flies through. Is decent, but Complexity still going in hard. They'll bring down the Tidehunter before the second Ravage flies through. Pandago left behind, gets off the ultimate, but to what avail. This looks like it's the end here. Coddle Guy as Complexity get a quick 3-0.
They get it. Easy peasy. Not even need the cheesy, as the cheese is still left in the Roche pit. They don't care about that. They're pressing on forward. Gerg squad in trouble. Whoa. Big black hole catches on 3, and they'll just quickly annihilate them like it was nothing. Big grab from them. Complexity win this one. Take down Gerg squad. In the second game straight, we've seen a team have a promising start, but it ends up crumbling right before them.
Yeah, very impressive stuff from Complexity, and a slow win, but as you pointed out, a very cautious team. They didn't take unnecessary risks there, and it really showed. By the end of it, they were very far ahead in terms of gold, and a pretty convincing fight to round things out. So, any final words here, Coddle Guy? We're behind schedule. We got to get this next game up.
Nope,
ASAP,
they look good.
man.
Complexity now claim the top spot. They'll be sporting a 7-1 record, and unfortunately for Gerg squad, they now are going to be pushed down to 2-4. So Complexity now at the top, the king of the crop here for Summit 2 America.
We've got Swag versus Pain coming up next, folks. I'm Zayori, that's Coddle Guy, and come on back because we got another game starting ASAP.
Oh yeah.